everyone. Welcome into another edition of the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press 2019 football preview. Happy to be joined in the studios today with Coach Chandler Tygard of the North Jackson Chiefs, new head coach of the North Jackson Chiefs. Coach, this is one of those interviews a little bit different, like we talked to Miles Keith the other day. He's taken over at Ider first year, so we don't have as much focus on coming out of last year. So just kind of a get to know you to start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background for those few people living in a cave up around maybe Bridgeport or somewhere who don't know anything about you. I was trying to think of Russell Cave.
I wonder where you're going with that.
Yeah, somebody living in Russell Cave who has not heard of Chandler Tygard yet, if that's possible.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your background, where you're coming from, and then if you want to go ahead and segue into talk a little bit about your coaching philosophy, your style on offense and defense.
Okay, so I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I went to the University of Tennessee, and I was fortunate enough to coach there for 7 years. I spent a total of 10 years in college football. From there, I came to the high school ranks in Chattanooga. I actually lived in Bridgeport, Alabama, when we moved back from Joplin, Missouri. We moved to Bridgeport, and I was the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame in Chattanooga. Then bounced around, went to Nashville to be the offensive coordinator at Ravenwood. I made the switch from defense to offense because when you interview for head coaching jobs, that's always what they want to know. You know, offense is a little sexier, so that's why I made the switch there. Yeah, it went really well. Became the offense coordinator at Madison Academy last year. That got me in Alabama. But honestly, once the North Jackson job came open, I was on it from the minute. From living there in Bridgeport, my wife was born in Bridgeport. I've known about North Jackson now for, me and my wife been together for 10 years in August. So I've known about it for that long. I met Chris Jones 10 years ago and Philip Lawley and all them guys. I interned in Canada with Coach Jones when he was at Edmonton. And then really got to know Coach Lawley. So when North Jackson opened, man, I was on top of it to try to get that job.
You was talking about Notre Dame, and I don't know about you. On my resume, I would type defensive coordinator at Notre Dame in like 14 font and then put Chattanooga in like 9 font.
Actually, when I got a lot of Facebook friends when I became the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, and all these kids sending me their highlight tapes and that kind of stuff.
Well, go ahead and talk a little bit now. Of course, I know this. You got a fun approach to the game offensively, and talk about your offensive philosophy and your defensive philosophy.
Okay, so we'll start on offense because both of them kind of marry together. This is the first time I've had a chance to marry our offense with what we're doing on defense. So that's very exciting for us. We've got a bunch of sayings and catchphrases and stuff, so we're family fun in football. So football doesn't need to be too serious. A lot of high school football programs, in my opinion, kind of take the fun out sometimes, and they make it a little more too serious than what it should be. So we're doing that. So we're going to make sure we have a good time. So on offense, we've got a whole philosophy to where we're running lightning fast. We're hurry up, no huddle. We're a spread offense, but we can do a lot of different things. We can use multiple tight ends, no tight ends. That can change year to year based on your personnel. Because you want to do what you're good at. Don't fit a square peg in a round hole type deal. But the style is kind of a style on our own. The hurry up kind of came and went. It's kind of had its heyday, but we're one of the few teams that are still doing it. We proved it last year. We could go as fast as we could go. I think we ran 57, 60 plays a game last year with 37 players on the team.
Wow.
Now, when I was in Nashville at a huge, 2,000 student school, we were able to run around like 79 plays a game.
Wow.
We were rocking and rolling. This year they're changing that to the 40-second clock. Have you all been coached up on that yet?
I have heard about that, but go ahead and give us the details.
So that's a big deal for us. So basically it's the college game clock as long as you're running the ball. So if you can run the ball really well, as soon as the referee spots the ball and takes his hand off, you can snap the ball just like in college.
Yeah.
In the past in high school, you had to wait for the referee to go back, the white hat, blow his whistle, wind the clock. And some of these guys, are getting up there in age, and then I'm hollering because they're taking their sweet time, going back there having a smoke break and winding the clock. So they know when they do a North Jackson game, hey,
get out of the way.
It's going to be a workout. We've got the chain gang coached up. We got the ball boys coached up. Our players are coached up what to do with the football. They have to hand the football back to the referee in the center of the field. And if it's an incomplete pass, they're not allowed to chase it in practice. They can't chase it in a game. Our ball boys run the field in practice and go pick it up. So the whole thing's geared for lightning fast tempo. I put all that in because I spent all these time on defense. I spent 12 years as a defensive coach. So I put together just kind of a package to where everything I hated on defense, we put it in on offense.
Right.
So it was, shifts and motions, hurry up tempo, a bunch of trick plays. We've run 32 trick plays the last 2 years, which the kids love. It goes back to the fun. The kids like double reverse passes and fake reverses and all the crazy stuff. Sometimes they're a complete disaster, but at least, we're not scared to call it. We've got a philosophy on the back of T-shirts that says no risk it, no biscuit all over our facility. Yeah. So you got to spend money to make money, Nick.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So on offense now we're getting after it. We're looking for huge 20-yard plays. So we try to get as many 20-yard chunk plays as possible. A lot of defenses in high school are trying to just make you drive the field. So we can score from anywhere. So it could be 3rd and 7 on our own 2. We might chunk a deep ball. We'll just do things kind of out of the ordinary. 4th and 1, we can chunk it deep when you think we're going to sneak it, that kind of stuff. So we're not scared to call anything at any time. And then on defensively, it matches up. So we're the opposite of a bend, don't break defense. We're coming after people from the very, very first snap of the game. North Jackson has been known as having a dominant defense since the beginning of the school in 1988. They had Coach Lally there really running that defense. Even recently with Coach Rose there, they've had a very good defense. They're known for being physical and hitting you. So we're not going to wait and just let you come to us. We're coming after you. We'll pressure you if we need to. But we're going to do whatever we can do to get after you.
I noticed one of your quotes. I believe this was something you sent me. Any ball that's in the air belongs to us.
Correct. So we've got a saying, the ball is the program. So basically, I know Coach Ledbetter talked about this. The turnover ratio is our biggest thing.
Yeah.
With our style of offense, I'm not going to go to my defensive coordinator and say, y'all gave up too many yards or y'all gave up this and that or whatever. All that matters, okay, is scoring one more point than the other team. And the best way to do that is to take the ball away and to keep the ball on offense. All this other stuff is fancy and cool and fun, spread offense or wing tee or whatever. Ultimately, it goes back to a lot of programs. They can go slow, they chew the clock. That goes back to keeping the ball to where we try to get as many snaps as possible. So it does kind of put the ball in jeopardy a little more, but at the same time, I can argue it gives us 20 more snaps a game to score points. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Our way is not necessarily right or wrong, or it's just what fits our athletes in our school and the amount of numbers on our team. And we're going to use everybody. We don't play just 11 people the whole game. If we draw a line on the board, and if it's 30 guys above the line, we're going to play 30 guys. I've played 2 quarterbacks everywhere I've been. We've played 4 running backs, 8 receivers. We'll use the whole roster. If you're good enough to get in a varsity game and you deserve it, then we're going to get you in somewhere.
Talk about your depth at quarterback since you mentioned that. And I know Carter Gass. What have you seen out of him this year?
So we've got 2 good quarterbacks. So Carter Gass is a senior. He's the shortstop on the baseball team. He plays basketball. He's a great leader, really funny guy. He came in the other day with dreadlocks in his hair for no reason. A big old redheaded guy. I don't know, kids nowadays, millennials. So, but he's a great kid. The team really responds to him. Because of his shortstop ability, he's excellent at RPOs. Because he knows how to flip his hips quickly. He can decide on and run pass keys. He can decide to hand the ball off, to keep it, to throw it. So he's very, very good at that. We've also got a sophomore. His name's Dalton Morris. Big, tall, fast, great athlete. He's been in the top 5 of our testing in our 40s, our verticals, our broad jumps. He can throw it 60 yards. He's got a cannon. So we're going to use both kids just like we've done everywhere I've been.
Do you have, of course, I know each kid probably has their own strengths. Do you have different packages?
To some degree, but basically I just always train them, to where they know everything. Now, obviously, one kid's going to be better at something than another, so maybe you lean that way. But just because, the sophomore comes in the game, you're not just going to get these plays, because now the defense is going to count on that.
Right. That's what I was getting at, because I think a lot of people that's what they think of when they hear that, because I know, and I'm not going to get into talking about my favorite team, Auburn, but sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, well, I know what's coming just because of the personnel that's come into the game.
Some coaches believe if you have two quarterbacks, you don't actually have one. I disagree.
Right.
High school's a little different, and also, how many times have you seen a high school starting quarterback run the ball and get injured, and then the backup comes in, but he has no experience. He hasn't played a varsity game. The team can kind of just dip when they know, oh, we might be out of it, or our starting quarterback's he's out the game. Now we're in trouble. Where for us, if the starter goes down, it's not a big deal because the backup always plays. Now, in theory, I guess you could lose both the same play, and that because I'll play two at the same time. We'll move them around. Those goes back to those trick plays. We'll hand the ball off to one and let him throw, and it makes it a pain to defend. If I was the defensive coordinator, I would not like what we're doing.
Well, and two, you talked about your background is defense, and I was trying to think there was another coach, and I can't remember who it is, that basically, I read an article on them. They basically said the same thing you said. Coming from that defensive background actually made them a much better offensive coordinator because they knew what gave them fits on the football field. So that's what they wanted to do.
I don't look at it as an offensive coach at all. I go based on what coverages we're seeing, and I understand their rules a lot of times, and so I can, I've run a lot of these defenses in the past, so I know exactly what plays give you the most problems. It's all the unbalanced formations and the motions. You don't see a lot of that in high school. You don't see a lot of shifting and motioning, and we're going to do it every single play almost.
So you see what the defense is in, and then you ask yourself, what would I not want running me if I had my guys?
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. And then if you match up the no huddle tempo on top of it, I'm not really trying to trick a defensive coordinator. Ultimately, it comes down to I want the defensive players thinking this doesn't look the way we practiced, or this doesn't look right, or I feel uncomfortable, or I'm going so fast I can't even get lined up, much less get a play call. So we really push the tempo. It helps us a lot. Especially that's why the first year, every year of this offense has gone really well. I think it's because we go so fast.
Well, in all these interviews, we're talking to all these coaches, we kind of harken back to last year and get takeaways and stuff. You obviously don't have that. Probably good in this situation, because the guy that was toting the rock in Stevenson last year is doing it in Starkville this year. So,
I could use one of those. I haven't had one of those.
But anyway, I mean, I was just looking at these stats here. Last year, of course, Region 4, Class 4A Region 7 champions. Team record 677 points. Team record averaged scored 78 in a game. Margin of victory 77 points. And Chiefs also set a team record for most points scored by both teams with 116 points. So a lot of offensive firepower last year. And again, fortunately, you don't have to miss that because, you weren't here then. So you don't but you probably do a little bit anyway.
So we had the number one offense in 5A last year, and the whole time I kept looking and say I wanted to be the number one offense in the state, right? And North Jackson kept being in front of us. I'm like, man, they scored 77 points this week. Like, how are we supposed to do that? So
well, I know, you don't feel the loss as much because you weren't here to lose them. But still, you know what North Jackson had. How have you? Of course, I know some of these gaps, like a guy that goes to the SEC, you don't fill a hole like that, But what have you seen in the spring and going into fall camp? How do you feel about filling some of those?
So we lost a ton of players. There's only, I think 4 players that really started last year that are returning. The good part about North Jackson is this is the 6th highest winning percentage program in the history of Alabama. So even we have good players.
These guys had to have got a ton of experience last year. When you're up 77 points, they've got game experience.
But actually, Nick, we had probably our top 4 receivers didn't play football last year.
Really?
Yep. So we've got a lot of the players coming out from baseball and basketball. When you go from a single wing type 95% run offense to a more modern kind of 50-50 balance deal, what we're doing.
That looks like fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we throw the ball a good bit, and we're running, and we use a lot of players. We're not just using 11. So if you're a receiver, now's the time to come out. And so we're kind of seeing that. So we've got good players. They're just really young and they're not experienced, but. I've played freshmen everywhere I've been. So right now we've got a lot of freshmen and sophomores that are getting in the mix.
That's exciting.
We've got 7 seniors that are very solid players, and the ones who are returning that were on last year's team now. I mean, we've got some very good players. We've got a senior offensive guard, defensive tackle, Trayvon Nicholson, who just squatted 655 pounds in the weight room. So the ones who are returning, we've got Johnny Gillum returning as a running back and outside linebacker for us. Jody is playing offensive guard. He's another strong kid. We've got a very, very good offensive line, which will help you with a young team and new quarterbacks. The quarterback didn't play last year, so.
Well, now you brought one of you guys with you. He's in the studio today, but we don't have the wide angle lens on the camera, so we couldn't get him in the shot. But
we're gonna be okay on the offensive line.
I think you're gonna be okay. But I definitely don't want to get out of this interview without talking about this. I've been very impressed, and I know a lot of people have. Your biggest focus, I would say, has been on culture.
Yes.
And of course, I know you're a humble guy, and I know you don't like.
Some people would argue with that.
Well, yeah, I've been around you. I've asked you a question or two, and I know you're one of those kind of guys that deflect praise to others around you, and I know there's a lot of people up around Stevenson and Bridgeport who've been involved, and that you would like to thank and everything, and we'll certainly give you an opportunity to do that. But I mean, you really, it's like the first thing you addressed when you came in was you wanted to be sure the character of your players was what it should be. And
yes, sir.
But you've had the team so involved in the community. You help with Special Olympics. I'm not going to start naming things because I know I'll leave stuff off. But talk a little bit about that and the importance of it.
It's extremely important to our program. Small town football is a big deal.
Right.
I kind of tell people, my family members or people that aren't aware of North Jackson, it's kind of a Friday Night Lights atmosphere like the movie, a little bit. It's not that crazy, but, it's a big deal to everyone in Hollywood, Bridgeport, and Stevenson. And so we make a point to where, we're going to do the right things. We want to have a program that everybody there deserves. All of our kids are going to act a certain way. A lot of the times we'll appear very new school, with the flashy helmets and uniforms and that kind of stuff, but we still have a lot of old school touches. Every single kid in the program is responsible for cleaning up after themselves. The seniors clean
the field house. Looks great.
The field house looks a lot better. The seniors clean the weight room. The juniors clean the locker room. Sophomores take the trash. Freshmen clean the field. There's no just freshmen only doing everything. I think that keeps the kids humble. Where they can wash their own clothes or they can sweep their own floors. Well,
I definitely want to ask you this: what has been the reaction of some of the kids in the new, clean, painted, nice field house? Are they like, this really is better to be in? And
you'd have to ask them. I do think they like it. Ultimately, though, when you walk into a place, you can tell the culture of a place just by its appearance. In my opinion, I think the little details matter.
Most small town field houses are a petri dish.
Really?
For bacteria.
Ours is not now.
No, it's not. You could eat off the floor.
Thankful to our county, we put down 120 gallons of paint.
Right.
We've redone floors. We're building new lockers right now. I'm figuring out how to do that.
I saw those,
Yep, so we're getting all brand new stuff. It's taken a lot of work this summer, but, 12-hour days every day by our coaching staff and community members, and everybody's been helpful. But I do think that goes back to the culture of the program, to where we wear a matching uniform every day when we work out. And if a college coach shows up, we look like we know exactly what we're doing and we're on top of it. I mean, we stay behind the line. We can go on 2. We're disciplined. We're not going to get 15-yard penalties. We're not jumping off sides. I think that's the difference that's going to take us in the playoffs.
Right.
To where, they hired us to not come in and win 10 games and lose in the first or second round.
10 years in the SEC has to serve you really well as far as knowing this is how we should be approaching
Yeah,
things?
so we kind of treat everything like a small college program. We're a little more detailed, even more than the D2 program I was a part of. So, we do take a lot of the little things seriously, and we harp on the kids. In my opinion, if they can't get away with the color of their socks on game day, they're not going to try big stuff. So, it kind of annoys them a little bit to where, you can only wear white and black socks to practice, but, and that it took some getting used to. But if they're doing that right, if the biggest thing we're worried about is, them tucking in their shirts, their travel polos, then we've made a lot of progress. So.
Exactly. Well, listen, we're getting low on time, and I just want to take a quick rundown. We was talking earlier. You actually play in an 8-team area, so you've got seven region games. Just want to run down these, and I'm not sure, if you've been able to see any film on them yet, or just talk about the challenges that the upcoming season. And again, we're just going to hit the region games because I don't think we have time to go over all of them. Danville High School for region game, that's on the road.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. So our all-state quarterback from last year is now the quarterback at Danville.
Really?
Yeah, so the one who threw for 2,000 yards was my quarterback last year at Madison Academy.
Oh.
So that's going to be a big game. They're going to be super excited. I'm sure he will because of that, and my kids obviously will because I'll gear us up for that game. So that's going to be real interesting.
DAR?
Yep, so DAR was one of the, I think that was the highest scoring game last year, right, on both sides.
The 116 points.
Yeah, 116 points. So they've got a really good offense. I've looked at them a little bit. So that's going to be, that DAR, Pope John Paul, following that, those are going to be the two biggest region games, I would think. But you know how this stuff goes.
Right. Fairview High School, got to go down there.
Yeah, I've never been to Fairview. You're skipping the big game now.
I was gonna come back to that. Definitely not a region game, but a game of great significance.
Yeah, so we played
in
them
Jackson
last
County.
year. Yeah, so we went to Scottsboro last year with Madison Academy. It was a big close game to the fourth quarter, and then we pulled away. But that's going to be a massive game. Then we've got Guntersville to open the season with a scrimmage. So those two games, I think, are going to be a big test of where we're at, and how far we've come to going from a team that only attempted 16 passes all of last season to doing what we're doing, and if it can be done.
Well, now you are coming up to, I'll back up here, your actual first official game is North Jackson head coach is Plainview.
That's right, yeah. I feel like I'm in enemy territory.
You're coming up here to Rainsville, and of course, I don't know if you know this, but I broadcast their games on the radio, so this is actually going to benefit me because I usually don't have as much research or knowledge on the opposing team's coach.
Well, you get all you want here.
So anyway, but
I'm excited about that. I actually drove by the stadium. That's a really nice stadium.
Well,
I try to scope it out before the season.
We look forward to having you guys up here, and I know that'll be a fun game. And
I'm ready sent your interview with Coach Ledbetter to all my coaches last night. I said, this is what they're doing. We're going to be ready for them.
Yeah. Well, that's the disadvantage of our show, but of course, every coach gets to see whatever other coach is saying, so it's fair. Priceville.
Yeah, they just hired a new coach, so that's.
They did. I heard
so
that.
I'm waiting to see. I don't know much about them yet. I've only studied like the first 5 opponents because once you get that far down, you get so much film that a lot of stuff will change.
Well, and then the only other two you got West Morgan and Randolph, the Randolph School.
Yeah, Randolph Raiders. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun for me moving from Huntsville, getting to play some of these Huntsville private schools that Madison Academy always wanted to play. So we've always, I'm real familiar with Pope John Paul and Randolph from being over there.
Randolph, okay. Well, listen, Coach, we appreciate you coming in and talking with us today. We're getting low on time, so we're going to wrap it up. I know everyone up around Stevenson, Bridgeport's excited to see the product that you're going to put on the field this year. A lot of fun, a lot of changes. I'm looking forward to seeing that offense myself. That's going to be fun. But that's going to do it for this North Jackson Chiefs edition of the Mountain Valley News North Jackson Press 2019 football preview. Thank you.
Building your dream home is one of the great joys in life. At First Southern State Bank, we know construction and mortgage financing, putting today's low rates to work for you. As you and your family move closer to the completion of your new home, we know that your home is where memories are made and families grow stronger year after year. At First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, Scott Kirk stands ready to tailor the right construction loans to meet your needs, along with our staff of experienced loan professionals. Drop by to share your dreams with us today in Rainsville. First Southern State Bank in Rainsville, all the bank you'll ever need.
Folks, this is Andy White down here at Bobby Ledbetter's Twin City in Fort Payne, Alabama. I want to invite everybody to come out to our new location. We're at 1411 Glen Boulevard, right where you turn to go on Airport Road. We've got plenty of inventory for you to choose from. I got cars, trucks, vans, sport utility vehicles of any make and model. Come down here and visit us. Let us see what we can do for you. If you got some slow credit, I've got some banks that'll take care of that. We've got great financing, got a great selection of cars. Y'all come down here and see us.
Don't take the first deal that comes along when you can do better at BobbyLedbetter.com and Twin City Used Car Sales, located at 1411 Glen Boulevard in South Fort Payne.